Hello, welcome everyone to today my topic is conduction abnormalities of heart and the heart blocks. So before going to much more details into this topic, let us know some important facts which would help us to understand the topic very well. So in introduction we will discuss those topics. So first point, we should know the wiring diagram of the heart. So in the wiring diagram of the heart, we all know that impulse in normal heart start from the SA node, and from SA node it passes down to the AV node, from there to the His bundle, and from the His bundle to the right or left bundle branches. So if we write down a picture regarding this is the SA node. From SA node the impulses goes to the AV node, and from the AV node this impulse is transmitted to the right ventricle by the right bundle branch via the bundle of His, and to the left ventricular via the left bundle branch. And next, the left bundle branch is again dividing into two fascicles. One is the anterior fascicle and one is the posterior fascicle. So this is the wiring diagram of the heart. Number two important point is we should know that the rhythm of the heart is best interpreted from whichever ECG lead shows the P wave most clearly. So we will take the ECG strip and look for the most clear P wave in the ECG leads. Normally we take lead 2 or V1 lead where the P wave is most clearly visible. And number 3 important point is we should know a brief introduction about the PR interval. So what is PR interval? It is the time taken by the electrical impulse. It is the time taken by electrical impulses to travel down from SA node to the ventricle muscles or the ventricles. And yes, it's not to the AV node. So what is the normal duration of the PR interval? Normal duration is never more than 0.2 seconds or 1 large square in the ECG strip. If we take a range 0.1 to 0.2 seconds, and if we take the average normal PR interval duration, it is 0.16 seconds. So it is all about the introduction. Number 2 is classification. Classification of the different type of conduction abnormalities of the heart. So for our easy discussion method, we will divide this whole chapter into 4 categories. Number 1, the conduction problem occurring at AV node and bundle of His. Number 2, the conduction problem occurring at right bundle branch or left bundle branch. Number 3, the conduction problem occurring at distal to left bundle branch. And last, some special cases of shorter PR interval. Okay. So let's start with the conduction problem occurring at the AV node and the bundle of His. Number 1. So problem at AV node and the bundle of His. So this category is again subdivided into three parts. First one is first degree heart block, next is second degree heart block, and last one is third degree heart block. Now if we see at first the ECG picture of the first degree heart block, it looks like this. Like this. So in this case, the P waves always are transmitted to the ventricles. That means electrical impulses are always get from SA node to the AV node. But here the PR interval is much more prolonged. That means there is some delay in the conduction of the electrical impulses passing down from SA node to the AV node. So here PR interval is normally more than 0.22 seconds in duration. But remember, all the electrical impulses are getting transmitted. No electrical impulses is lagging behind. So what are the different examples of this first degree heart block? Coronary artery disease, acute rheumatoid arthritis, sometimes in digitoxin toxicity, or some electrolyte imbalance. So these are the causes where the first degree heart block may occur. Now take a look to the second degree heart block. Second degree heart block is defined when intermittently the excitation completely fails to pass through the AV node or bundle of His. So intermittently, not always, sometimes intermittently the electrical impulses completely fails to go to AV node or bundle of His. Now this second degree heart block has again many types. Let's look into this. First category in the second degree heart block is Wenckebach phenomenon. This Wenckebach phenomenon, also known as Mobius type 1 block. What are the features of Mobius type 1 block? Here the PR interval gradually increases until one P wave fails to transmit to the ventricles. So PR intervals gradually increases in duration until one P wave fails to transmit to the ventricles, and then the cycle repeats. So if we take a look to the ECG, it's somewhat like this. P wave, R wave, S wave, T wave. Next again P wave, a bit prolonged PR interval, QRS complex, T wave, again P wave, again larger duration of the PR interval, QRS complex, T wave, like this. But after that, one POF fails to transmit to the ventricles. So after a POF, there is no QRS complex. Here, no QRS complex. So after a POF, again consecutively, second POF appears and this cycle repeats. QRS complex, TOF, then again POF, much more prolonged PR interval, QRS complex, TOF, and again so on. So this cycle repeats again and again like this. So this is known as the Wenckebach phenomenon. Now remember one interesting point, that before one failed P wave of transmitting to the ventricles, the PR interval is the longest one or larger one, longest one. But after the one P wave fails to transmit to the ventricles, then the PR interval just immediate after it is the shortest one among all those PR intervals in this ECG strip. So before the failed beat, the PR interval is the longest one PR interval, and after the failed beat, the PR interval is the shortest one PR interval. So this is known as the Wenckebach phenomena or Mobius type 1 block. Number 2 point in the heading of the second degree heart block is Mobius type 2 block. In this Mobius type 2 block, the PR interval all the beats are constant, but occasionally one P wave is not followed by a QRS complex. So let's take a look up to the matter how the ECG looks. This is a POF QRS complex, again a TOF, then a POF QRS complex. Let's make it like this: QRS, TOF, POF, QRS, again a TOF. Here one POF fails to transmit one single impulse from SA node to AV node, but the next PR interval is again same. So in this case, only occasionally one POF is not followed by a QRS complex. Now number 3 point. It is called 2:1 block or 3:1 block. In 2:1 block or 3:1 block, twice or thrice POFs than the QRS complexes, like this. Two simultaneously POFs, then a QRS complex. Like this. So two simultaneously POFs, then a QRS complex. This is called a 2:1 block. And in case 3:1 block, there are 3 POFs followed by a QRS complex, like this: 3 POFs, then a QRS complex. So 3 POFs, QRS complex, TOF, 3 POFs, then a QRS complex. This is called 3:1 block. So these are the different categories of the second degree heart block. Now let's take a look to the complete heart block or third degree heart block. In complete heart block or third degree heart block, there are complete disruption of the electrical impulse conduction from the SA node to AV node. So no P waves are transmitted. No P waves are transmitted to the ventricle. So P waves are generating. That means atrial contraction is normal. But they fail to be conducted to the ventricles, and ventricles thereby beat into their own rhythm, and this is called idioventricular rhythm, which is normally 25 to 35 beats per minute. Now in this context, why I give importance to this complete heart block is what? That one important term is there known as overdrive suppression or Stokes-Adams syndrome. Now when this complete heart blocks occurs all on a sudden, these complete heart blocks make the ventricles to be contracted or gets their own rhythm, that is idioventricular rhythm, that is 25 to 35 beats per minute. Now what happens during this sudden occurrence of the complete heart block? The ventricles become quiescent for some time, and then they start beating into their own rhythm, that is idioventricular rhythm. This is called the overdrive suppression. And during this quiescent phase of the ventricles, the brain suffers from hypoxia, and thereby there is blackout. Patient experiences blackout, and this is known as the Stokes-Adams syndrome. This overdrive suppression is due to the increased activity of sodium potassium ATPase pump in the ventricular muscle fibers or muscle cells. So this overdrive suppression causes brain hypoxia, blackout, and it is called the Stokes-Adams syndrome. What are the different examples of the complete heart block? Complete heart block occurs during acute myocardial infarction, or it may be a chronic one, that chronic condition like fibrosis around bundle of His, or both bundle branch block. So in these conditions, complete heart block occurs. Now let's take a look to the ECG picture of the complete heart block. It's like this. Now let's take a look to the number 2 category, that is problem occurring at the right or left sided bundle branches. So remember, if depolarization wave reaches the interventricular septum or IVS normally from SA node, so electrical impulse to IVS normally gets down from the SA node then always PR interval is normal in duration. So in previous category we always took a note on this fact that PR interval is much more prolonged than the normal average duration. But in this category the electrical impulses already got down from the SA node to the interventricular septum. So in this category of the right or left bundle branch block, remember this fact that the PR interval will be in normal duration, not prolonged. But there is a problem. As there is abnormal conduction to the right or left bundle branch block, so either there is RBBB or left bundle branch block or LBBB, there is delay in depolarization of ventricular muscles, and therefore we all know the ECG picture, what will they present? The widening of QRS complex. And we all know that QRS complex normal duration is less than 120 milliseconds. But in this case of the left bundle branch block or right bundle branch block, the widening of the QRS complex means it will be much more than 120 milliseconds or more than 3 small squares in the ECG strips. So what are the features of the bundle branches? Normal features in the ECG, there will be normal P waves because the sinus rhythm is generating from the SA node, so there will be normal P waves. PR interval is constant or normal in the duration, there is no longer or shorter PR interval, but remember there will be wide QRS complexes. So this is the ECG picture will look like. So in case of the right bundle branches, what are the different example of the right bundle branch block? Normally right bundle branch block also found in the healthy people. In case of the tall or thin subjects, we can find the RBBB. But left bundle branch block is always and always pathognomic of the heart disease. Look, so take a look the different causes of the RBBB. So at first we know this is a normal heart, atrial septal defect or some congenital diseases, and last is pulmonary embolism. And what are the different causes of LBBB? Ischemia of heart muscles, atrial stenosis, hypertension, or some cardiomyopathy. So that's why left bundle branch block is always pathognomic sign of the heart problems. So remember these important points or important facts in regarding the RBBB or LBBB is: number one, septum normally depolarizes from left side to right side. The septum depolarization from left side to right side. Number two, left ventricle has much more muscle mass, so it has much more influence on the ECG picture than the right ventricle. And number three, the ECG machine is designed in such a way where the excitation spreading towards any lead, causing upward deflection of the stylus in that lead of the ECG. So these are the 3 points by which you can easily understand how the right bundle branch block or the left bundle branch block picture will look like. So let's start with the right bundle branch block. So let's take a look how the right bundle branch block ECG picture, how it's derived. So number one or step one, this is a heart picture. In this step one, the impulses are coming down from the SA node to the AV node, and from the AV node to the bundle of His, and from the bundle of His to the left bundle branch. Because the right bundle branch block is there, no impulses is getting down to the right bundle branch. So impulses are only going down to the left bundle branches and its two fascicles. So only left bundle. The right bundle branch is blocked. So as the left bundle branch, these fibers are totally depolarized now, it is per rule will depolarize the right ventricle. So depolarization waves from the left bundle branch will come from this side to right ventricle. So remember the V1 as it's a right ventricular lead. The excitation is going towards the right ventricle. So that means the V1 will show a positive deflection. So there is a R wave generation in the V1. But in case of V6, the excitation goes away from the left ventricle to the right ventricle. So V6 will show a negative deflection. So there will be a Q wave. Step number 2. In this step number 2, the depolarization waves will now depolarize the entire ventricular muscles from the left bundle branch to the all ventricular muscles to the left side, that is the left ventricular muscles. So excitation coming now towards the left ventricle away from the right ventricle. So in case of there, the V6 will show a positive deflection or the R wave. So there is generation of the R wave, but in case of the right ventricle there will be negative deflection. So S wave. Number 3 step. In this number 3 step, this excitation takes longer to reach the right ventricle due to the failure of normal conducting pathway. So right ventricle depolarized again after the left ventricle. So some depolarization waves goes to the right ventricle further because there is no right bundle branch. So there is much more time taken for the excitation impulses to go down the right ventricle, and the right ventricle is depolarized. So there is again a positive deflection in the V1 lead. So again a positive deflection. This is called R dash wave. But it is going away from the left ventricle, so it will a negative deflection in the stylus, so a deep S wave. So this is the pattern of right bundle branch where the V1 lead will show a RS R dash pattern or RS R1 pattern, and in case of the V6 lead there will be a deep S wave. So in nutshell, what are the features of the RBBB? Number 1, features of the RBB. Number 1, at the VR, RS R dash pattern, at the V6, deep S wave pattern, and there are broad QRS complexes. So these are the three important features of the right bundle branch block in case of the ECG. So next category is left bundle branch block. Again, we are drawing a diagram of heart. This is the right ventricle, this is the left ventricle. Now the excitation waves or the electrical impulses from the SO node goes down to the AV node, from the AV node to the bundle of the His, and from the bundle of the His it goes to the right ventricle, not to the left ventricle, because the left ventricular conducting pathway of the left bundle branch is blocked. So the name is LBBB or left bundle branch block. So same like the right bundle branch block, we will take a mechanism in action how the ECG picture will look like. So step 1. So at first no LBBB or left bundle branch is there. So septum is depolarized here from right to left. So from right ventricular lead V1 and left ventricular lead V6, how the ECG stylus will present. The right ventricle is depolarized, right ventricle is depolarized first, then the left ventricle, but the excitation waves goes from the right ventricle to the left ventricle. So the V6 or the left ventricular lead will show a positive deflection of the R wave, and in case of the V1 or the right ventricular lead, the excitation waves are going away from it, so it will show a negative deflection or Q wave or small q wave. Step number 2. Now the right ventricle is depolarized before the left ventricle, because the right bundle branch is always intact here, so the excitation waves passes from the right bundle branch to the right ventricular muscles, and thereby the V1 lead will show a positive deflection of the R wave, and the left ventricle will show a negative deflection of the S wave. Now number 3 point. At the number 3 step, the left ventricle is then depolarized. These electrical impulses passes from the right bundle branch to the or right ventricular muscle to the left ventricular muscle. So again this ECG lead of V6 will show a positive deflection. So again an R wave is generated in the V6 lead, but this wave or electrical impulses is going away to the right, away from the right ventricle, so there is an negative deflection or S wave is generated. So remember, in the left bundle branch block there is M pattern generated in V6, or inverted M pattern or W pattern is generated in V1 lead. So what are the important ECG picture of the left bundle branch block? Number 1, M pattern in V6, W pattern in V1, but remember it is often not fully developed. So we will depend on the M pattern on the V6, and yes, obviously the broad QRS complex is generated. So in right bundle branch block, remember the problem is at the right sided of the heart. Right sided heart of the heart is depicted in the ECG by the V1 lead. So in the V1 lead, remember, the right bundle branch block is presented like RS R dash pattern. But in case of the left bundle branch block, the problem is at the left sided of the heart. Left sided heart in the ECG is depicted best by the V6, V5 leads. So in the V6 lead of the left bundle branch block, ECG picture will show the M pattern, and in both cases there is delay in the conduction to the whole of the ventricular muscles due to absence of either right ventral branch or the left bundle branch. So the common point is broad QRS complexes in both of the cases. So third category is problem occurring at the distal parts of left bundle branch. In this left bundle branch distal part problem, the problem is mainly at the anterior fascicle and the posterior fascicle. So this is the wiring diagram again, starting from the AV node, bundle of his, this is the left bundle branch, this is the right bundle branch, this is the anterior fascicle, this is the posterior fascicle. The normal cardiac axis, as we already know, the very important part of the normal ECG, this normal cardiac axis depends on the average direction of the depolarization of ventricles. In normal heart, the left ventricle contains much more mass than the right ventricle, and thus the normal cardiac axis is just like this. This is like this arrow. This arrow direction is the direction of the cardiac axis. Now, if the anterior fascicle is blocked, then anterior fascicle fails to conduct, the cardiac axis rotate upwards, because this posterior fascicle is only source of the impulse getting from SA node, AV node, or through the bundle of the his to the left ventricle, but the right bundle branch is intact. So the resultant vector of the cardiac axis is upwards, like this. So in case of the anterior fascicular block, this is the direction of cardiac axis. And if the posterior fascicle is blocked, then the cardiac axis will get much more downwards, or like this. So this is the cardiac axis when there is posterior fascicular block. So remember, in case of the anterior fascicular block, the cardiac axis rotates upward, or there is left axis deviation of the cardiac axis. This is the left axis deviation of the cardiac axis, and this anterior fascicular block is also known as left anterior hemiblock. So left anterior hemiblock leads to left axis deviation of the cardiac axis. And in case of the posterior fascicular block, which is not often selectively found or separately, But if occurs separately, that means no anterior fascicular block, only posterior fascicular block, there is right axis deviation. So posterior fascicular block means right axis deviation of the cardiac axis. Now, very important point, due to right bundle branch block, the cardiac axis usually remains normal. Due to right bundle branch block, the cardiac axis remains normal because there is normal depolarization of the left ventricle, because there is normal depolarization of left ventricle with its large muscle mass. But if right bundle branch block occurs with left anterior fascicular block, then what will be the ECG picture? As there is left anterior fascicular block is there, the cardiac axis will be left axis deviation or left axis deviated cardiac axis, plus there will be features of the RBBB, which we already discussed in this topic. And this right bundle branch block with the left anterior fascicular block, commonly known as bifascicular block, and it suggests that there is widespread destruction to conducting system. Now, if the right bundle branch occurs with other two bundle branch like RBBB with left anterior fascicular block plus right anterior fascicular block, it depicts the picture same like the complete heart block, as if the bundle of it, failed to conduct the electrical impulses from the AV node to the ventricular muscles. So somewhat like this, bundle of his get failed. So this is the important pictures we get from the ECG when there are anterior fascicular block, posterior fascicular block, or there is bifascicular block. So the last category is some special cases of shorter PR interval. Till now we found the first category of longer PR interval contains first degree heart block, second degree heart block, and the third degree heart block. The second category of the right bundle branch block or the left bundle branch block contains the broad QRS complexes or some RS-R' pattern on V1 in case of the right bundle branch block, and in case of the left bundle branch block the V6 contains the M pattern. In fascicular block there is either left axis deviation or the right axis deviation, plus if there is any right bundle branch associated block, then the features of the right bundle branch. But astonishingly, some conduction problems also occurs when there are shorter PR interval as well. There are two categories. Number one is WPW syndrome. The full form is Wolff Parkinson White syndrome. So there are important some points are there like congenital anomaly. It's a congenital anomaly. Where an accessory bundle known as Kane's bundle of muscle fiber reaches from atria to ventricles, and it bypasses the normal conducting pathway AV node. So due to bypassing the AV node, there is no nodal delay. And the ventricles is depolarized much more earlier. So the ventricles are depolarized much more earlier, there will be shorter PR interval, as there is no nodal delay, number one. And number two, as the ventricle is depolarized much more earlier, there will be much more early appearance of the QRS complexes, or QRS complexes appear earlier. But remember, this is an accessory bundle. It's an accessory bundle, not a specialized connective tissue which connects the SA node to the AV node. Due to this accessory bundle presence, the ventricles depolarization is slow. So the QRS complex is broader. So broad QRS complexes. So what will be the ECG picture in nutshell in this WPW syndrome? Number one, shorter PR interval. Number two, early appearance of QRS complex. And number three, the PJ interval is not altered. What is the PJ interval? Here we should know the point name J point. J point is the point just after the finishing of the QRS complex. It is an isoelectric point, and the PJ interval is the interval or the time from starting of the POF to the J point. So the PJ interval, due to the shorter PR interval and broad QRS complex, this nullifies the effect on the PJ interval, and the PJ interval is not at all altered. And remember, in case of the WPW syndrome, there is a special type of QRS complex is formed, which is called the delta wave, or delta wave in the QRS complex is found like this. So this is a POF, this is the delta wave in the QRS complex. So delta wave presence in the QRS complex always and always is pathognomic of WPW syndrome. Now remember some disadvantages of this syndrome, of WPW syndrome. Remember, the normal long refractory period at AV node is there. Normal long refractory period at the AV node protects the ventricles from the high rate of the atrial contraction, like in case of the atrial fibrillation. So that if there is atrial contraction rate is high, the ventricular muscles get the normal beats of contraction rate. if this does not happen like this in the WPW syndrome, because there is an accessory bundle in between the atria and the ventricles which connects them, and there is no nodal delay bypassing the AV node, if there is atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter or high rate of the atrial contraction rate, then the ventricular tachycardia develops. Ventricular tachycardia develops due to the presence of this Ken's bundle, and this is very much lethal, and if we don't get it surgically corrected, this is very much problematic to the patient. So always and always of this treatment of this WPW syndrome is surgical correction of the Ken's bundle. And the number 2 is LGL syndrome. LGL syndrome full form is Lown-Gannon-Levine syndrome. And here a specialized conducting system joins atria to ventricle, and it always again bypassing the AV node. So again no nodal delay. Remember, the main differentiating feature with the WPW syndrome and the LGL syndrome is, in the WPW syndrome it is an accessory bundle, but in LGL syndrome is a specialized conducting system. So as it's a specialized conducting system and it bypasses the AV node and there is no nodal delay, the PR interval is shorter, and again QRS complexes appear earlier, same like the WPW syndrome, but it's a specialized conducting system, not an accessory bundle. So due to specialized conducting system, QRS complex is of normal duration, because the depolarization of the entire ventricle muscles takes the normal time, not a delayed one like in the WPW syndrome. So QRS complex is normal duration, but it appears early and PR interval is shorter. So the PJ interval, what will be the effect on the PJ interval? The PJ interval is shorter. So this is a picture of the PJ interval. This is a P wave, QRS complex. This is a T wave. So PJ interval, we know the time between the beginning of the P wave and the termination of the QRS complexes. So this is the PJ interval. When the QRS complex appear early and the PR interval is shorter, but the QRS complex is broad, in case of the WPW syndrome, the PJ interval is intact, number 1. But in case of the LGL syndrome, where the PR interval is shorter, QRS complex appear early, but the QRS complex is in normal duration, the PJ interval is shorter. So this is the main differentiating 2 points. One is the QRS complex is broader in WPW syndrome, and QRS complex is normal duration in the LGL syndrome, number 1. And number 2, the PJ interval is in normal duration in WPW syndrome, but the PJ interval is shorter duration in the LGL syndrome or Lown-Gannon-Levine syndrome. So this is all about the conduction abnormalities of the heart and the heart blocks. So thank you all for watching this video, and if you have any queries or any comments, please comment in the comment box, and please like this video and share this one to your friends and please subscribe to this channel. Thank you all. Thank you everyone. Goodbye.